Innovation and the creative approaches needed to uniquely address the challenges of the 21st century are also fundamentally reshaping the current formulas and models used for teaching and learning. Developing progressive and innovative approaches towards instruction and the academic culture within public high schools, the New Tech Network is transforming education by integrating technology with teaching and learning.
The New Tech Network is a national school development organization that provides professional development services to high schools. And what we do specifically is help high schools create rigorous and engaging instruction for students so they can be prepared for college, career, and 21st century skills.
Founded in 1996, the New Tech Network is a nonprofit school development organization, promoting innovative teaching practices where students learn to become critical thinkers and problem solvers.
Some business leaders got together in Napa, California, and they really were concerned that students were not prepared for the new economy and that they needed to be able to learn higher order skills as well as work-based skills such as collaboration, work ethic, many of those other skills, and in addition to content skills. So they created the design of the high school to essentially emulate a business where kids work in groups just like business people work in groups.
The New Tech Network focuses on the culture of learning, primarily the collaborative process between student-to-student learning, with the instructor as facilitator, and the skills students learn through the project-based learning.
Project-based learning actually starts from the facilitator, the teacher perspective, with starting with the standards. And a big misconception people have, or something they forget, is that it's standards-based, project-based learning. So once a facilitator has identified which standards really seem to fit well, not a textbook or which standards happen in the same chapter, which ones blend and what will students need to know from each other, then you start looking for questions that identify those standards. Where in the real world would a student ask a question about how or why, or what does this imply and what can I do with it, to really hit the critical thinking component.
The design element of the free and open classroom environment is essential to the teaching modality of the network's vision. The spaces are designed to encourage collaboration, where teachers work in teams, and students actively pursue working between and among other teams or groups.
We were very, very intentional about the design of our facility. We were fortunate in that it was a blank slate, and we really were given the opportunity to be very intentional about what teaching and learning was going to look like, where it was going to be, where facilitators would stand, what kids would be doing in each of the studio spaces. So we had some design goals in mind.
The formula for success is based upon three essential elements: implementing teaching methods that engage, creating a culture that empowers, and using technology that is fully applied.
In a project, you've got 3 to 4 weeks of getting students to learn content, keeping it rigorous, keeping it relevant, so you really have to hook them right away. And bringing the students into the culture was huge. And quickly they realized that they need to trust one another, and they need to trust the facilitators, and they need to trust the work that they do.
New Tech high schools have become a national model for innovation and excellence in education. They reflect a shift in the educational paradigm that breaks away from traditional methods.
After we get our warm-up or reflection, we will, the facilitator will normally walk around or go around with the groups if they need any help on anything, and they'll call them over. They won't just be sitting up in the front of their desk like they would normally at a traditional school and just grade papers, whatever. They're around, they're being active, they're helping us out.
While traditional subject matter is still an integral part of the educational model, creating a unique learning experience that departs from its predecessor in order to master skills for the 21st century is central to the program's philosophy.
If you look around the United States right now, if you look around just globally, there's unprecedented change, and we have an opportunity to really recreate the economy, not to model ourselves after the industrial economy, which our high schools are actually modeled after, but to actually create students who can be the future entrepreneurs, the future leaders, the future producers, and the students who will lead our economy.
Basically, our kids need to be prepared to solve complex problems in a collaborative work environment, in a technology-rich environment.
The success behind New Tech's reshaping of the traditional educational model is evident in the growing numbers of schools across the U.S.
The wonderful thing about the New Technology Network is our schools are very diverse. We will have 64 schools in our network, but currently with the 40, the majority of those schools serve low-income students, urban schools, and are typically based on a large campus as a small school. So the New Tech Network is committed to serving all students and to demonstrate that this type of engaged learning and critical thinking skills can be done in any environment across all high schools.
The instructional approach of the project-based learning model is both flexible and adaptable. it can easily integrate specialized curriculum programs.
Many of our schools, because of the use of technology, actually specialize in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, and they want their schools to specialize in developing a curriculum and the skills of students around STEM fields. Other of our schools actually use the theme of environmental science as a way of thinking about green jobs, and then some of our schools actually specialize in a global theme, and that's partly because, again, of the use of technology and the fact that we live in a flat world and that we can communicate at any time, any place with anybody.
Initiatives undertaken by high schools, districts, states, and governments prior to becoming active within the New Tech Network must first commit to protocols for success. These include school autonomy, small school sizes, and one-to-one computing.
We consider ourselves partners with districts and with schools, and we work very hard to co-construct the kind of learning they want to see in their school and how they can build that into their school or into their system. So we contract with districts and schools to provide professional development services over a certain amount of time.
Student performance is measured through a unique set of metrics used to quantify and assess student progress and proficiency.
Student progress is determined in a few different ways. I guess one would be with typical assessments, traditional assessments on the content skills. So that could be a rubric, which basically is outlined in different ways to assess all of the content knowledge that's learned throughout the project, includes all of the state standards.
By targeting academic failure and helping to minimize persistent achievement gaps, districts with active high schools participating in the New Tech Network are recipients of positive scholastic effects, regardless of economic or geographic differences.
Our success is dependent on the support by the districts and the states. The states and the districts need to be able to provide the technology that's necessary for the students and the teachers, and provide the support for the teachers to receive our professional development services.
Individual performance of network schools have showed consistently positive results with respect to higher test scores, increased graduation rates, and post-secondary acceptance, while dramatically lowering dropout rates.
98% of the students who apply to college are accepted by the colleges.
Collaborations with businesses and universities offering college credits provides New Tech schools with the opportunity to form unique partnerships, the potential to share data, and learning units across the entire network.
We've done things like green audits on local businesses where our kids go out and look at their processes from transportation to what sort of light bulbs they're using, and they've written reports and given those back, and we've seen actual changes, companies that commented back to us and said, we put those things into effect.
Described as a national education movement, the past successes of the network have given rise to plans for significantly expanding the national footprint over the next several years. Technology is integrated as a means to engage learners, and the network's mission is to reimagine teaching and learning.
I believe it's time for us to think very differently about what learning should look like, and we need to stop rearranging the chairs on the Titanic and think that if we just play around with the old factory model schools, make a few changes, rearrange the chairs, that somehow will improve teaching. We need to radically change our schools so that students are prepared for the future and they can go build the new economy, and that we have teachers who can engage them and facilitate their learning, but not talk to them and direct their learning.
For more information on the New Tech Network, visit their website at www.newtechnetwork.org.